journal paper, proper journal article. This is a case study which we are trying to kind of finalize, and your suggestions and input will be really helpful. So this topic, this case study started with information about Rishika, who was known as a chartered accountant. She had a degree in chartered accountant, and during COVID, we got to know that she's teaching yoga online. And while there were a lot of such venues available, but there was something about her yoga teaching style which got a lot of attention. So we started interviewing her. How did she start, and what challenges did she face? So she said that initially, because she was trained as a yoga instructor, during COVID, when people were not allowed to go out, they requested her that, can you just put a screen when you are doing yoga and we'll follow you. But because she knew that she's getting into something very interesting as well as very complicated, because yoga so far has been taught using, it has always been a face-to-face mode. So she had put a lot of input in guiding people through a screen medium. And slowly, because of word of mouth, it increased her the way she used to put input and the way she used to ask people all the details, that, okay, what are the issues that you have, so that I can customize and tell you that what asanas you should do, what asanas you should kind of avoid. So slowly it grew, her word grew up, and suddenly she saw that from 15-20 people, now she's putting the screen for 60-70 people. And that's where people started asking her, can you monetize this, because we want to be regular. And that's where, as she was practicing her professional life, it occurred to her that she can create a business out of it. And she started this Rishika Yoga. And she hired people on the basis of gig arrangement. So gig is no longer a word literature term. It has become quite pervasive. But gig arrangement is on the basis of per piecemeal, or per job. So here it was, the arrangement was that for each batch that you handle and the revenue that comes, it will be shared. So she used to say that I don't treat them as my employees, they are my co-owners. And I have kept this arrangement so that they are invested in putting right effort, putting more effort, and giving best of their abilities and learning, deliverables, and also to get more and more people. So while this gig arrangement worked for some time, slowly she realized that uh, whatever she had put, so there is within yoga, there is something called Vinyasa yoga, which is a very kind of methodological, very rigor in terms of methodology. And whenever she used to hire somebody as a gig worker, she will teach them those asanas and everything. So she realized that people were learning from her and then going and practicing at other platforms, a lot of competitors platforms. So she put a clause that if you want to take clients on your own, that's okay, but do not join the competitors, because then it kind of takes away my intellectual property. So she had put this no competition clause, and that's where we started interviewing her co-partners, who she calls as co-partners, but it is basically a gig arrangement. And she hoped that this revenue model, this arrangement it will create more engagement. And while for 2-3 gig workers it worked, but there was one gig worker with her who decided to leave her franchise, her studio, to go for a permanent job, full-time job somewhere else. And we not only interviewed her studio, but other studios who followed similar kind of gig arrangement. And people talked about, so we have heard that these are the gig work itself, while it brings freedom, flexibility, it also brings a lot of precarity. It brings insecurity, that I don't know, tomorrow I might be kind of asked to leave. So during these times now, on one side, Rishika Yoga as a yoga studio is seeing a lot of growth. She has got a lot of international clients, national clients, and she's very upbeat about the future growth. On the other side, she's a little concerned that how do I engage gig workers to enhance their employee engagement? And that's where we end the case study. And We then go to teaching notes so we pose this question that while the gig arrangement has its, while the business is growing up, she's also invested in how to increase the commitment and engagement from all these yoga teachers. And we pose this as a question. The teaching notes starts with certain questions to facilitate the discussion among MBA students, because these are the people who are tomorrow going to handle different forms of workforce arrangements. So first question would be like, okay, what do you think are the pros and cons of the economy? And when do we go for that? When do we not, try to avoid that? And then we try to kind of have discussion on employee engagement. So what, even in full-time job, what are the factors which will be more kind of, fruitful in engaging employees? And then we leverage the concept of 6 work-life areas to drive home that, okay, even in gig economy, if you have this kind of arrangement where it's not purely transactional, but you also want to build some kind of relational dynamics and build accountability, you have to see across all these 6 dimensions, which is workload, control, rewards, and sorry, it's not moving. Let me. Community and one second. Sorry, somehow my slides are not moving. Yeah. Community, fairness, and values. And we kind of facilitate the discussion across these 6 topics, and we take students' opinion, and then we kind of discuss that whenever we talk about employee engagement, while the context remains different, but when it comes to employee engagement, there are certain factors which are core. And even in very transactional kind of arrangement, if you want to extend, bring autonomy, ownership, you have to look across these dimensions. So this is where the case study ends and contributes to the discussion on gig economy, new forms of work arrangement, and employee engagement, which is a kind of serious problem in the industry right now. So that's the case study which I had presented.
Thank you